I went to visit some girlfriends. I used to live in Atlanta, went to visit some girlfriends in Atlanta, and I'm having fun with them and we're making dinner and I'm sending my husband pictures. And I said to him, he wasn't responding. And I said to him, you know, if you're going to tell me that you want a divorce, do it while I'm here with my girlfriends, kind of as a joke. The
Oh,
next morning, that's what he did over the phone.
oh, no.
I was heartsick. I thought, oh my God, this is so much worse than I ever imagined. I mean, I knew things were bad, but I just never expected it.
Welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast, where it's all about fixing your marriage without your husband's conscious effort so that you feel desired, taken care of, and special. I'm Laura Doyle, and today we're talking about, is something wrong with my marriage? Here's 3 ways to know and what to do about it. My guest Heidi's marriage had lost that loving feeling. Her husband had shut down and moved out. But then she said something that made him soften, which felt like a miracle. Now he tells her he loves her every day and the relationship is better than ever. She's going to tell us how she did it so you can do it too. But first, let's talk about, is something wrong with my marriage? There's 3 ways to know, and here's what to do about it. Normally, I'm allergic to focusing on what's wrong. I used to focus on what was wrong in my marriage all the time. And since what I focus on increases, things just got wronger and wronger in my marriage. And that pain that I felt when I thought something was wrong with my marriage, that was real. And I didn't know how to get out of it. I didn't realize it was mostly self-inflicted because I just wasn't trained in the intimacy skills. Because once I was trained and I had the right supervision and encouragement, my marriage got so much better. And now I focus on how good things are because I enjoy that. So normally I'd be like, let's not focus on what's wrong. Let's focus on what's right. Let's grow that. And let's have the experience that you want to have in your marriage of feeling desired, taken care of, and special. But today we're making an exception. Yeah, we're going to focus on whether something is wrong because that may be where you are right now, if you're anything like I used to be. It's a nagging feeling. It's this low level anxiety. Is something wrong? You've tried maybe asking him what's up, but he doesn't offer any explanation, or maybe he says he's just stressed out or he's tired, or I mean, your mind could wander down a dark alley very easily, right? Maybe your heart is telling you that there's more to marriage than just being like roommates, awkward roommates, or just getting by without laughter, without passion, without physical intimacy, without exciting plans for the future. Well, there is definitely more to marriage than just existing, just getting by without feeling loved, which is depressing and demoralizing. And it's your birthright as a woman to feel desired and taken care of and special. So it's not okay if you're not experiencing that. Let's get that fixed. So the number one sign there's something wrong with your marriage is that you don't feel special. He cuddles with the dog, but not with you. He'll drop everything to help his mom, but you're on the bottom of the list. He laughs and he chats with the kids, but he has nothing to say to you. He texts with his work colleagues all the time, but he ignores you. He gets a lilt in his voice when he talks to the neighbor, but not with you. It's very painful. It's awful. I still remember. But here's what I would do now if I found myself not feeling special with John. I would check my respect. That's where I would go. In fact, I talk all about this in episode number 219 of the Empowered Wife podcast, how to restore respect and the emotional safety in your relationship. This is why this podcast is called The Empowered Wife. This is something you can do that can restore your feeling special to him. You can get that special treatment back by just looking at how you can bring respect back into your relationship. So that would be my solution. That's what I would do if I found myself there now. The number two sign that something is wrong in your marriage is that you don't feel desired. The physical intimacy has been gone for a while. You are awkward roommates. You're not the lovers that you set out to be. And that's a terrible feeling too, right? Part of what had you fall in love with your husband was you felt desired. And that's an amazing feeling. It's a powerful feeling. So here's what I would do if I found myself there. I would make myself ridiculously happy. I would do the number one indispensable practice for a lasting marriage, which is replenish my spirit, get some self-care, make myself smile. I would make myself laugh and dance and sing and do all the things that just tickle me because I know that that's also very attractive to my husband. It's also very attractive to me, right? I want to feel desired even by myself. So I talk about all that on podcast number 90. So if you want to feel more desired, that's the podcast I would suggest you go listen to right now. The third sign that something is wrong with your marriage is you don't feel adored. You're not getting presents. He hasn't gotten you a present in years, not for Mother's Day, not for your birthday, not for Christmas or another event, another time that you would normally get a present, like your anniversary. Maybe he doesn't compliment you. He doesn't tell you how beautiful you are or how wonderful or how he's happy to see you. Maybe he never gets you flowers anymore. If you haven't had any of that for a while now and you wonder how to get that back, well, for me, if that was happening, I'd be looking at how I'm doing with receiving. Am I receiving graciously his gifts, his help, his compliments, flowers, apologies even? And I talk all about that in episode number 125 and 126 of the Empowered Wife podcast. It's all about how to be more feminine. It actually makes you 10 times more attractive to be a good receiver. So if that's where I was stuck, if that's what was wrong with my marriage, that's where I would look. Even if you feel like there is something terribly wrong with your marriage right now, I want to invite you to do something pretty counterintuitive. Might even sound a little crazy. What is going right with your marriage today, right now? What is going right with it? I know this is a little bit like, let's say you hit your thumb with a hammer and you are then asking yourself, like, how do those other 9 fingers feel? Oh, they're feeling really good, right? It feels a little maybe ridiculous to be focusing on what's going right if it feels like what's going wrong is so much bigger. But stay with me here because this is a powerful practice to change your focus because what I focus on increases. And I find that's true for so many of the women that I talk to as well. So is he a good father? Is he a responsible person? Does he work hard to support the family or pay for things that or handle chores or is he sweet to your parents or to your siblings? Is he a respected member of the community? Is he good at what he does at work? Is he faithful to you? Right? Is he athletic? Is he handsome? Does he drive a big truck? I don't know, right? These are some of the things that you might ask yourself about what is going right in your marriage. I'm just offering you a little menu of suggestions that you can think about to figure out what really is good about my marriage today. What am I grateful for? Since what you focus on increases, this is your invitation to improve your marriage by focusing on 3 things that are going right with it today. I have exciting news for you because right now you can listen to my book, The Empowered Wife, for free with your Audible membership in the United States. So discover the 6 surprising secrets to attract your man's time, his attention, his affection when you listen to the Empowered Wife audiobook on Audible without using credits. You don't need any credits. It's free. The Empowered Wife has over 1,700 5-star reviews, and it also has some one-star reviews too, because not everybody is ready to hear what they can do to fix their relationship without their man even knowing about it. And I get it. I wasn't ready either until my marriage was completely falling apart and we were on the brink of divorce. And then I learned from women with happy marriages what actually works. And now my marriage is shiny and amazing. And those secrets are in this book. And you can listen to the whole book for free with your Audible membership. The only catch is that this Audible deal is only for a limited time. So to make your marriage last and thrive, go and listen for free with your Audible membership right now. My guest Heidi's marriage had lost that loving feeling. Her husband had shut down and moved out. But then she said something that made him soften, which felt like a miracle. Now he tells her he loves her every day and their relationship is better than ever. She's going to tell us how she did it so you can do it too. Heidi, welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast. I'm so excited that you're here.
Oh my gosh, Laura, thank you so much for having me. This is, I hope, a story that helps a lot of people because I can't tell you how grateful I am to you and to the empowered wife. The surrendered wife is actually the way that I know it, right? I'm old school. That was the book I read a million years ago and then again. So thank you so much for helping me put my marriage back together.
Oh gosh. That's so great to hear. Thank you so much. This is a celebration of what you've accomplished. So, but and I can't wait to hear the whole story. So take us back to those bad old days. What was going on in your marriage?
Yeah, so our whole story is kind of a whirlwind. My husband and I are older. He's in his early 60s. I'm going to be in my late 50s in another month. And so this was second time love, right, for both of us. We met on a dating site and it was very quick. We just felt like we'd known each other forever and everything was great. Our kids got along. I was living about a little more than an hour away from where he lived, and we decided that we would buy a house closer to where he lived because 3 out of our 5 children were all in this area within about 10,
Hmm.
15 minutes of our house, new house. So we bought a house, got married in May. We bought a house in June, and in September, I left my job as the executive director of a performing arts center and sold my house all in one day. Came back home to this home that we were remodeling and kind of went through this whole first weekend of crying and feeling sad. And, I didn't have my friends here. I didn't have really any identity and really went through then the rest of the fall into the winter time just being depressed and getting more and more and more depressed every day. Lack of girlfriends, which we all know is super important. Ladies, if you don't learn anything else from the empowered wife, find yourself some girlfriends that you talk to because that's what you need, or sisters or mothers or whatever. But really and truly, it was me getting more and more depressed and then using alcohol as a way to self-medicate. That glass of wine while I made dinner, and then the glass of wine with dinner, and the glass of wine after dinner turned into a bottle of wine, turned into arguments. We all know that alcohol is a depressant, but what it does is if you're already feeling kind of lost and resentful, it makes it worse. So the bad old days, I mean, being completely vulnerable, a lot of that was me not taking good care of myself
Mm.
physically and certainly not emotionally. So yeah,
So the,
you know.
this move, I mean, it was probably exciting because you're moving to be with your love, right? And you're
It's
going to be in an area where the kids are, and but it also it was costly in terms of so much familiarity and security and safety and friendship and being part of a
right,
community. You lost all that
right.
and kind of underestimated, it sounds like, how taxing that would be for your spirit.
Absolutely. And I wish that somebody would have said, "Hey, Heidi, what would be a great idea? Get a therapist.
Oh,
Find somebody that can walk you through what this is going to look like and what this is going to feel like." And, we have this beautiful home. We have a pool. We have our kids around. We have family around all the time. And I literally was feeling so blessed right? That I had all of these things, but you always have the stuff that you have to deal with. And I wasn't dealing very well. And so my husband and I, as we started kind of putting our house back together, in the beginning, we were remodeling, so we didn't have a lot of furniture in our house, right? And so now we've got this beautiful fireplace and we have these beautiful leather chairs that I decorate. I love to do that, put around the fireplace. And before you know it, he was calling it the pit. And he was saying, I don't want to spend any time in the pit, because we'd get up in the morning and we'd have our coffee and we would sit and we would talk, and it would become some kind of a minor argument or a little irritation. And then before you know it, it kind of that lack of respect, which actually rolled into resentment on my part. And then on his part became pulling away and feeling like he was walking on eggshells and closing down. And so if you're a communicator, like most women, right, you push harder and harder and harder. Where for my husband, what happened was that he retreated more and more and more, get more upset. Now that glass of wine starts to happen a little earlier. Well, we have a pool. The kids are around. Why not? And before you know it, it's really not a very healthy situation. So we started going to some counseling. And we found a Christian counselor, which we thought was going to be a great solution.
Yeah.
And the woman was so focused on making us do an activity called dialoguing. So we all know in good counseling, right? It's use I statements and talk about your own feelings. But the best thing that I learned from your book is you don't have to say everything that pops into your head. Every feeling you have doesn't need to be expressed. Put your duct tape on, right? We all learned how important that is. I didn't know that. I wish I would have had somebody walking up to me and saying, don't say that. So we ended up, it was not good. We ended up, I went to visit some girlfriends. I used to live in Atlanta, went to visit some girlfriends in Atlanta, and I'm having fun with them and we're making dinner and I'm sending my husband pictures. And I said to him, he wasn't responding. And I said to him, if you're going to tell me that you want a divorce, do it while I'm here with my girlfriends, kind of as a joke. The next morning, that's what he did over the phone.
No.
I was heartsick. I thought, oh my God, this is so much worse than I ever imagined. I mean, I knew things were bad, but I just never expected it. So of course, I do what every good, I get on a plane, come home, walk in. He does not want to see me. He wants his space. He is now completely shut down. So I go to sleep in the basement. And guess what? There's alcohol in the basement. So I have a big old drink, get myself to sleep. At 4 a.m, decide that I'm going to come upstairs and crawl in bed with my husband and wrap my arms around him and tell him I love him, because that makes everything okay.
Yeah.
No. And he looked at me and said, oh my God, how much did you have to drink? And don't touch me. And I left the room heartbreaking. I ran downstairs, and then I could hear him. And he was taking a shower. And by 6:30 a.m, he had left. And I was absolutely devastated.
Definitely.
I have 2 sons. And he has 3 children. Well, and his sister and I were really, really close. Well, he had gone to his family and told them, Heidi is mean to me. Heidi's an alcoholic. Heidi, I don't want to wait around for her to go through treatment. I don't know how long that's going to take. All of these things that were just so heartbreaking for me.
Awful.
So now I feel like I've lost that support. Luckily, I still had good friends. And I can't even tell you, I found one therapist that I'd had a long time ago, talked with her a little bit, because what I realize now is I've got to get on some kind of medication. All of a sudden, my friends said things that they should have said to me a few months before, like, you're depressed. You're not this kind of person. Laura, I don't know about you, but I mean, when you think about depression, I think about people who cry and can't get out of bed.
Yeah.
But it isn't. A lot of it is just negative thoughts that swirl through your mind that you just can't control. I didn't know that. So I found a good therapist. got on some medication that I was on for a short amount of time, which helped a ton. But one of the therapists that I found said to me, I explained to him some of the things that I was saying. And he said, well, you do realize that a man in a marriage wants to be the provider. He wants to be the hero. He wants to be the savior. He wants to be respected. And when you talk to your husband that way, it's not respectful. And what you're doing is you are damaging your relationship. This came from a man.
Great.
And something went off in my head because a million years ago, I've been married twice. My ex-husband and I had gone through some problems, and I found the surrendered wife. And so it popped in back into my head, and I thought, I should find that book. What did that book say again? About respect and what you can do to help fix your marriage. And you don't have to be, your husband doesn't even have to be on board. You can be the only one doing it. And I thought, this will be my magic, right? I also really, really, really believe in manifestation.
Mm.
So I got on the medication, got the book, and started reading. And I spent one whole day reading your book, The Surrendered Wife.
The surrendered wife.
And
American gangster.
yes, and I literally was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to make sure that I am manifesting this healthy relationship. I'm going to call the people that I love, the women in my life, and tell them to start thinking positive thoughts and praying for me. And I ask them to pray. I want you to pray for me, but I want you to imagine my husband and I having this summer at our pool with our kids, happy, in love, better than ever. We're not going to go down the path of divorce. And so they started doing that. And of course, everybody that I told that to thought I was absolutely crazy. Well, what was happening is my husband works from home. And so he had moved out, and we set up a schedule. So I would say, okay, I'm going to be gone from 1 o'clock until 4 o'clock. He would come at 1:15 and leave at 3:45. So we weren't crossing paths.
Mm.
And I would leave him a little note maybe on his desk. Started very simple. Things like, please feed the dog.
Mm.
Asking for what I want, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for working so hard for us. Just
Oh,
little statements of respect, of putting him in that
gratitude
situation.
too. Yeah.
Um, one of the days I came home a little bit earlier, and so I saw him as he was getting in his car to leave, and I was pulling in the driveway. And so we literally talked through the open window
Oh,
just for a couple of minutes. And I said, I want you to know some of the things that I'm doing, but I also want you to know that if we're going to work this out, if we're going to ever put this back together, we need to spend some time together.
mm.
And he said, Heidi, I want a divorce.
Oof.
I am like, oh my gosh, a couple of weeks in, I'm doing therapy, I'm doing all these things. I had stopped drinking like that, which by the way, I
Really?
realized I wasn't an alcoholic, but I was using alcohol inappropriately. And so finally, I don't even remember exactly if it was a note that I had written, but I really, as I was reading the book, I thought, okay, you know what I need to do? I need to apologize. I need to take ownership for all of the things, how mean I was, how disrespectful I was. Doesn't matter if I thought that he wasn't listening. Doesn't matter if I thought that he, had shut down, or it didn't matter any of those things. What mattered was that if I took responsibility, maybe things would change. You
Wow.
know, right? Because you've been there. And I loved hearing from you in your book. I've been there. I know what you're going through. So one of the other things that I did is, as soon as I had read through the book, I decided to become a ridiculously happy wife and sign up for that program. And then I signed up for some counseling, and I loved the counselor that I was paired with, Coach Lynn.
Oh,
And she's exactly the same thing, and was telling me about, oh yeah, my husband and I just were having a disagreement about XYZ. But I stopped myself and I remembered. I went back really quickly and I apologized. And I said, you know what, whatever you think, honey, whatever you think. And I thought, okay, I can do that. Right? I thought, okay. Big, strong woman who ran a performing arts center, who could,
Yeah.
completely
Yeah.
capable, doing
Yeah.
all these things. Whatever you think.
Oh my gosh, it's a little crazy, isn't it? Like, wait, who says that? Like,
Nobody who's a strong woman says that,
no, right? Is
but
this
it
like
worked.
sawdust in your mouth? Like,
Exactly.
what?
Like, you are gonna just try to say this. But I did it. And actually, the first thing I did is I wrote it down, right? Whatever you think. So one of the things that we had been, going back and forth with was we have this puppy, this dog, that he wanted to send away to training, and I didn't. I was adamant. When we're arguing, I was, no, we're not doing that. No. And I changed my tune and I said, you know what? I've looked into sending her to a couple of these other places. You pick whatever you think. The next time that I said, I'm going to be gone from this time to that time, he showed up before I left.
You're kidding.
No. So I'm like,
Whoa.
I literally thought, oh my gosh, this is working.
This is the guy that wanted a divorce. I didn't
This is
want
the
to
guy
see
that
you at
we
all.
want. So now, then he stays a little longer. We're standing in the kitchen, we're having this conversation. He stays for about 20, 30 minutes. Okay, that's all great.
That's more than an open window you're talking through
More than an
here.
open window.
Yeah.
I could not believe it, right? So I'm like, and so just start trying these little things, right? So then I had found a job that I wanted to apply for on LinkedIn. So I have a Zoom first interview. It's now like he's been gone like 3 weeks. We've been doing this back and forth. I'm just focused on self care. Holy cow, what a difference that made. Making sure that, as pathetic as I felt right after he left, it's like, nope, get up, put your makeup on, exercise, go for a walk, do the things, the good therapist, all of the, get a massage, all the things that I wanted to do for myself, watch a movie and eat ice cream at night, you
Oh,
know,
I love it. I love
all
it.
that stuff.
Yeah.
So he's starting to see this. So I have this Zoom. He's actually got a conference call. So he says, well, I'm going to be in my office. I have a conference call. Well, I get done with the Zoom and I am so excited. Another executive director position opportunity. I get off the phone. I run down to his office. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe how great. Because I forgot, right? I forgot that we were not in this fabulous place because I'm excited. And guess what's super attractive? A
You were
happy wife.
ridiculously happy.
Yes, a ridiculously happy wife is super attractive. Well, it happened to be his birthday. And so as we're having this conversation, I said, um, so do you want to take me out for dinner for your birthday to celebrate this great job interview?
Do you
Asked
want to
for what
take
I
me out
wanted.
for, right? I mean, I love it. It's so, yeah.
And he said, we could do that. I have some things to do, but I'll come back. How about if I pick you up between 5:30 and 6?
Oh my
I thought,
gosh.
this is a date. We
It's
are
a
going to go
date.
on
You're going on a
a date.
date.
So of course I do the date thing, right? Freshen up my makeup, change clothes, whatever. We go out for this dinner, having love, we get done and it's still light out. And he says, do you want to do now? And I said, well, we could go for a drive. That's what we did when we were dating. We would just go and we would look at neighborhoods and where do we want to live or manifesting. I said, well, we could go for a drive or we could go back to the house and, maybe sit in the hot tub and he said, let's do that.
Oh my
He
gosh.
came back to the house. I come upstairs, put my bathing suit on. He puts his suit on. We sit in the hot tub. We have a nice conversation. Get out of the hot tub. He builds a fire in the fireplace. Oh, guess what? We're back in the pit.
Oh my goodness.
But one of the things that I had read, right, while he was gone was keep the positive energy of your home alive. Keep the positive. So I would walk around singing, I love my house. I love my husband. I love my house and my, like whatever it took. And I moved furniture around and I changed up the energy. We had the most lovely evening sitting in front of the fire, no alcohol, having just a little sparkling water, sitting by the fire, having nice conversation, nice little kisses before he left. Didn't spend this left, whatever. It was a nice date. Made out a little bit like teenagers, right? Sorry for my kids that are listening. That I know that's gross for them, but right?
It's what we
They're like,
all want, Heidi, is a relationship that grosses out our kids, right? That's
yes,
good. Yes.
you're exactly right. Want to embarrass them at every possibility. So and that was it. That started it. And a week later, he moved back home.
No way.
Yes, a week
No
later.
way.
And I remember him saying, because I would say by that point, I was telling him that I loved him. I was leaving notes and saying, it's okay if you don't say, but I want you to know that I love you. And he gave me a hug one evening and said, I'm really sorry that I haven't been able to tell you that I love you, but I've been afraid. And he was afraid that I was going to go back to being what I was like. I was afraid he was going to be going back to what he was like. But we made this commitment. The next morning, he left to go somewhere and he gave me a hug and he said, I love you very much, Heidi Tansum.
Oh,
My heart melted. Do you know my heart melted?
oh my
So I
God.
just was over the moon, over the moon. Couldn't have been more excited about, and he left and literally walked out the door and I was like, it worked. It really worked. I can't believe it worked. And I did, I wasn't asking him to engage in anything. I wasn't
No.
saying, let's go to counseling. Let's rehash all of our old stuff. Now,
Or, here, read this book, or
right,
right.
right. Or which is all the stuff I had been doing before, oh, listen to this or read this, or here's something else I heard, or, sending memes or quotes, or none of that worked. And
Mm.
why? Because I was making him feel guilty. I wasn't making him feel respected. I wasn't making him feel like he was doing anything for me. I was making him feel like he wasn't doing enough for me.
Yeah.
The most important thing that I have learned is ask for what you want. We have our fireplace, right, that is in the pit. Okay, so we decided when we did all this remodeling, we weren't going to replace the fireplace, and it's stone, and neither one of us really liked it. But we have this gorgeous view. So I had taken some pictures of the view, and then I sent the photographs to this company that puts your pictures on canvas, and then you can have them framed. And, it looks like this beautiful painting, kind of,
Oh,
whatever. But now it has to be hung on this stone, right? And
uh-huh.
I don't know how to
Oh,
do
yeah.
this. So I said to him one day, I would really like to get that picture hung over the mantle, but I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to, and I think you need a special drill bit or something. And I came home like an hour later and he had hung the picture.
You're kidding.
When I read in the book about the woman who says, I would really like to paint the family room or the den or whatever she says. And I thought, that never happens. This is like poetic license.
Yeah, yeah,
Laura's
yeah.
making this up. She's not. This never really happens, right? I walked in and I was like, oh my gosh.
But yeah.
One more thing. It really worked.
Wow.
Pay attention to making your husband feel like he is your husband, right? Not your child,
Mm.
not your best friend, not somebody that you have to control, but somebody that you can look up to and lean on. And then guess what? They become a person you can lean on.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Can I just say again, whether it's Empowered Wife or the Surrendered Wife, people need to get this book, follow the steps, get a coach. I'm not kidding you. And the best thing about it is that then I started thinking, how can I share this with everybody that I know? How
Mm.
can I? So I go out for coffee with a girlfriend and she starts telling me about how her husband and she's da, 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 da. And I said, you know what? You know what works? Not telling him what to wear. Crazy,
It is,
right? Right.
right? So your girlfriends look at you like, what happened to Heidi?
I know. What happened to that strong woman that we knew? My youngest son is getting married this coming weekend. So in like 5 days. And so for the bridal shower, Guess what I gave my daughter-in-law to me? Right.
I bet you got her a book.
I got her a
Yeah.
book. I did. And try to, it's just the whole thing is about just learning how we all have, and it's, I don't know. I mean, how many women do you have say this feels like manipulation,
Oh,
right?
yeah. I think that's pretty common. At
Right.
first, it does. Yeah.
But isn't all of life really? I mean, it's manipulation is what human beings do. I'm kind to someone in a store when I want to make a return because I don't want her to be upset and I want her to take the return. Or leave extra stuff out for the guy that mows my lawn, extra cookies or, something at Christmas time because I want him to do a really good job. That's not manipulation. That's just showing care and respect to somebody else. That's the way I look about it. And
Yeah.
what I realized is, who should you do that more to than your own husband? Really, right? Let him be respected. Let him be the person that you look up to, and then see what happens. Because before you know it, that's what they want to do. They really want to take care of us. They really do. Just like we want to be the ones who takes care of them, but in our own way, in our softer way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I love it. I mean, yeah, I really admire how you kept your faith even when you were in Atlanta with your girlfriends and you were kind of joking and then he texted back, I want a divorce, and then he left. I mean, that was a really dark moment where I think a lot of women have said, there's nothing I can do. Like I can't get him back. He's already said this. But
right.
you had a lot of courage and
Um,
determination. That
I
that's
was a lot of determination. And you know what? I don't even know exactly where that strength came from, other than what I believed. And truly, I believe a lot of it was divine intervention. But I felt like the minute that one therapist had said that to me, and it was really just the husband of a different therapist that I'd gone to. So I never even went to him more than that. I just had that one conversation. But it led then to picking up the book, which led then to finding a different type of a therapist for myself, led to getting a coach, becoming a part of Ridiculously Happy Wife. But I still pick up the book and read through it. No marriage is absolutely perfect. And it was, of course, honeymoonish, the first couple
sure.
of weeks, because
Sure.
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's what God gives you, is he gives you the ability, or, whatever you believe in, to have that experience, right, where you can feel connected again. But we're human beings that live with somebody else. We
That's
have
right.
strong personalities.
That's
We
right.
need to have the ability to go, okay, I know who I am. I know who you are. We don't have to rehash everything in order to be in a situation where we can say to one another, I respect where you're coming from. I respect the person that you are. And I respect the fact that you are um, allowing me to be who I am. But I also know that what you bring to this relationship, what you bring to this marriage are strengths that I don't have.
Mm.
And when I allowed my husband to do that, instead of trying to control him or what he thought or what he did, and just say, I believe that you have my best interests at heart. So I'll tell you, going back to like sending the dog off to have training, I had to look at him and say, I believe that you love me. I believe that you love our dog. I believe that you don't want either one of us, because of course my fear is that, the dog's going to go off someplace and be beaten and, into submission and, not come home and remember it's us. That's not what happens. And when I said that, when I released that to him, it was this overwhelming sense of peace that I had. It was like, oh, I don't have to carry everything. I can let go. The financial piece, huge for me. He's got a business that he's starting, and then it was, he's doing this and he's doing that. Well, I ran a business. I know about finances. So, of course, I want to know what's going to
Yeah.
be happening. What are you
Yeah.
doing? What's the money coming in? Da, da, da.
Yeah.
The minute that I said, I trust you, I trust that you have our best interests at heart, and you have always provided so well. I trust, because, remember, now I'm in a position where I don't have a job. So
Yeah, that's
I'm,
right.
trying to figure out my own identity and my own job situation. And letting that go. I actually have a whiteboard inside my pantry, where we write down all the things that we need from the grocery store. And the number one thing at the very top that I have not erased has been let go, release, surrender. And the
Mm.
minute that in the morning that I'm starting to feel that angst over, I wonder what he's going to wear to my son's wedding. I wonder, what's he going to wear to the groom's dinner? And I hope that he makes the right decision.
Yeah.
And I look at that and go, oh, that's right. Surrender, surrender.
It's such a good mantra, isn't it? Surrender,
Oh,
surrender.
thank you. Thank you for writing the book. Thank you for having a crappy marriage in the beginning that you were able to fix. I mean, do we all not feel that? I mean, you must have so many women that, I mean, I just can't even imagine. I can't imagine where I would be sitting right now, Laura, if I hadn't had, where I would be? I'd be sitting in an apartment
Oof.
somewhere without a relationship with his children, without a good relationship, even this relationship with my own children strengthened because they saw me take responsibility and
Oh.
then make changes that I could make and change my marriage. My son, my older son, just looked at me a couple of days ago and said, Mom, I got to tell you, when all of this was happening, I never would have guessed that you guys would have been able to repair your marriage. Never. And to have your 35-year-old look at you and say that was pretty amazing.
It's a high five for sure, at least,
Oh,
right? I
for
mean,
as much as our kids will give us, right?
you must have felt like $1 million when he
A
said that. I
million
mean,
bucks. And just to know that, you know what, you don't have to have the buy-in. I mean, you don't have to, because what does that take? When you're in a really bad place, your husband has to feel shamed into saying, fine, I'll do it your way. It doesn't have to be that way. It truly was 1 and 1 equals 2, and 2 and 1 does not equal 2. You change one part of the equation, and the equation has to change.
yeah, you can't be the same old, couple if you're going to be a different Heidi, it
Exactly.
changes everything. And
Yeah.
so it sounds like this has been like a self-improvement program for you.
Oh my gosh. Complete self improvement. And what's really cool is that when you start on that journey yourself, all of a sudden what you see is you see how your actions are impacting the people around you, whether it's people in your book club or a soon to be daughter in law or your husband. All of a sudden it's the little things. Self care. Wow. How
Yeah.
amazing. Now it's okay. I took my adopted granddaughters, right? So when we got married, I got a
Got
couple
some
of
bonus.
bonus grandchildren, took them to a play with my sister-in-law yesterday, and came home and my husband said, oh, I took the best nap while you were gone.
Ah,
He was never like that, but he realizes his own self-care now,
so
you
there's a
know?
culture in your house of self-care. You changed the whole culture in your family by
Yeah,
practicing your own self-care. I
yeah.
just love it. I
Self-care and
mean,
duct tape.
and duct tape, that's right. So, and what is your marriage like now?
Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. So this morning, um, I had trouble sleeping last night. All the wedding stuff is on my mind. And so I had said to him, I'd send him a text actually. We both put our phones on do not disturb in the middle of the night, but I know he'll see it. He wakes up earlier than I do. And I sent him a message that said, please don't wake me up early. And so he let me sleep in. And he got up and is getting his day started. So I'm downstairs having coffee and I come upstairs to get myself ready. And he's left me a note on my vanity that says, I love you so much. We are going to have so much fun at my son's wedding. You're going to look beautiful. Have a wonderful day.
Oh,
Good luck on the podcast. I mean, it's that, and he leaves me little notes all the time again, which he used to do. And then, of course, that stopped. But I find little notes everywhere. He does things like he makes my coffee and brings it to me sometimes in bed, or he can hear me get up and then he makes my coffee before I come downstairs, or all of the little things. Um, One of the things I wrote on our whiteboard was, we don't have a screen door on our patio door that goes out onto the pool area, or the door that is, double doors to the front. And I wrote down, I love the feeling of a breeze that flows through the house from the front door to the back door. Well, it's our first anniversary tomorrow. And guess what I think I'm getting?
You're getting
Screen door.
screens.
I mean, it sounds ridiculous, right? To be so excited. But all it was just saying, this is something I would like.
I would love you expressed your desires in a way that is inspiring, just like you did with
Exactly.
the picture hanging over the fireplace.
Yep.
He
It's
can't
all
wait to
those
be
little
your
things.
hero.
Yeah, and that's just wonderful. And how wonderful for me to be able to look at him and say, that's the guy I started dating. That's the guy that
Oh,
was so romantic and, bought me flowers, and
he's
it's
still here.
he's still
He's going to
here,
be here.
right?
You
And
know
he's
how.
not going anywhere. And that's the other really good thing. I think that, so you do this and it's all, it seems kind of dreamy and all of that. But the beautiful thing is, we've had some hard conversations, and I've been able to express how it made me feel when he moved out. That was scary for me. And it made me feel like I was going to be abandoned, you know. But he can also say, but you realize I had to get out of the situation. I had to remove myself in order to be able to see things clearly. And he appreciates, I mean, he knows now. I keep the surrendered wife right next to my bedside. I flip through it all the time. It's one of those books that I have stacked up. So he knows about the program. And he will say, Heidi, I never thought that you could make the changes that you did. I never thought that our marriage could be in this place. And I mean, what a testament. So if you
Yeah.
ever need men to come on your podcast, my husband will do it.
Oh, that sounds great. We'll have a man panel. He can be
Have a
on.
man
I love
panel.
it. I love it. And yeah, and you got to watch out because with you telling all your friends and stuff, I have a feeling like that's how you end up being a coach
I
eventually
know,
too.
right?
So, right?
Well,
Yeah.
trust me, I have listened to your webinar, and it is something that I'm truly like, it's in the back of my mind all the time. I think, wow, there's so many people that I could help to do this. And um, it's the littlest things, right? It's saying it to people. That's what we do. Oh,
Yeah.
I used a great mover, or I have a great yard
Yeah.
guy, or I
Yeah.
have a
That's
great
right.
hairstylist, or whatever. And then you tell your friends, what's more important than, I found a really good program to keep my marriage together.
Right.
I love that you say that you're ending world divorce one marriage at a time. That's what it takes. That is exactly what it takes. And when you think back to, what was it like at the turn of the century? And women got together and they talked through their problems with other women. Their husbands weren't listening. Their husbands were taking care of their farm or taking care of their business, or, they were like, whatever. Talk to
Yeah.
your sewing group about that. That's
Right.
where we get our strength.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you put together such an amazing team of women. Your coaches are phenomenal. And the program that you've built is absolutely amazing. I really am so grateful for you. You've done all the work,
Oh,
and it's a long time coming, but girl, you did it. And
thank
it makes
you.
people like me go, I did it too, I
Yeah,
did
you
it.
did. You did. Absolutely. And it's really just something to celebrate. In fact, I want to get your tip. Let me get your tip for somebody who is where you were, where that her husband says, I want a divorce. I've got to go. He moves out. And she wants what you have now, where he writes her sweet notes and puts the picture up for her and gets her screens so she can feel the breeze. And yeah, she wants to feel loved like you do every day. What's your best tip for her?
I got to tell you, it actually just, it makes me choked up, because I remember, how awful that felt. And you feel so um, alone, and you feel so heartbroken, and just at your wit's end. You just don't know what to do next. So my biggest tip is, um, number one, don't lose faith, because there is a solution. Find really good girlfriends to talk to, or family members, or some, get some women around you that will help, because your women will be the ones who bolster you up. And then do the little things, the little time. They say if you're going to, you know, move a mountain, you got to, or tackle a mountain, you got to make that first step, make the first step, do the little things, say you're sorry, take ownership, and really heartfeltly take ownership. I mean, it really does. It makes me choked up, because I think about the person that I was then was so ugly to my husband. And I was so disrespectful and had so much regret at the changes that I had made by getting married, by moving, by losing my friends. And really, like you said, it was a time initially that I was so happy and positive about, and I lost that. So get yourself some good girlfriends and don't lose hope. Put your duct tape on. You don't have to say everything you think. Well, I'm just telling you because it's my feeling. That needs to go out the window. You don't have to express every feeling. Or if you want to express a feeling, say it to your girlfriend. And then you can say, I'm so frustrated right now that he doesn't get it. And your girlfriend will say, that's because men and women don't think the same way. Because we don't. But then also understand that if you just can show respect and you can just let him be your hero, that is exactly what your husband wants. And you will, it seems so counterintuitive, that I'm going to give even though he's moved out. I'm going to say the right things even though he's not really here to listen. Find a way. Send a quick text, and write a note, send him a letter, call and leave a voicemail that just says, I want you to know I'm really sorry, and this is why. Apologies don't really work, right? Until you say what you're sorry for, and then actually make those changes. You know, don't say I'm sorry for being disrespectful, but you did this and you did that and da da da
Yeah.
da da, and then be disrespectful again. You
Right.
know,
Very tempting. Very tempting.
very tempting, because we all want our voice to be heard. We all want to be able to say, well, just listen to my side of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
side of
What
it
you
doesn't
did
really
was
matter.
so courageous and so humble. Right.
Well,
That takes something.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah. What would you say to Heidi if you could go back in time and tell her what you know now?
Oh, so many things. Um, it's okay to be excited about your future. Remember the person that you are. Remember the person that your husband is. Um, don't lose respect. Don't lose self care. Really. And that's probably the biggest thing that I did. You know, moving into this house with a pool, and the kids are around all the time, and I was taking care of everybody else, but I wasn't really taking care of myself. I
Mm.
wanted everyone else to be happy and having a good time, because you're the hostess, right? You're the mom. That's what you do. But don't lose sight of who you are, and it's okay to say, I don't want to do that today, and be comfortable, but also really understanding that you don't have to say everything. Heidi, close your mouth, go for a walk, you know call a girlfriend, make a cup of tea, remove yourself. You don't have to, just because you have a feeling doesn't mean you have to express it, especially if it's something that's negative. Now, if it's something joyful and happy, express it. You and I both know what's more attractive than a ridiculously happy wife.
Nothing
Be
that we know
ridiculous.
of, right? Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing. And don't we all want to be around? I mean, you think about your girlfriends. If you're
Yeah.
around somebody who's not in a good place, and Debbie Downer, sorry Debbie's out there,
Yeah.
but but if you're around somebody like that, you that becomes the friend that you talk to for a minute and you go, okay, well, gotta
Yeah.
go.
Gotta go. See ya. Yeah.
But then you're around somebody who's happy and lively, and you want to spend more time with them, because good energy begets good energy. Yeah. So if I could go back and say to the old Heidi, and stop drinking so much. Don't look for a band-aid somewhere else, whether it's eating too much or drinking too much or not eating enough or whatever your vice is. Look at what you're doing to your own self-care, because really that's what it was. It was hurting my own person.
Yeah.
It wasn't
I
helping
mean,
me.
it was like a breakdown before the breakthrough.
Oh,
But,
I love that. That is the perfect saying. It was the breakdown before the breakthrough. Truly,
well, I just
truly.
want to congratulate you, Heidi. I'm giving you my best wife
Ah, thank
award. Here it is. Best
you.
wife. Yeah, right?
Yes, and for our first anniversary
For
tomorrow,
your
I
first
will take it.
anniversary.
Yes.
Congratulations. Happy anniversary. You did it. You did
Thank
something
you.
that it's so rare, right? Like you know, you were at the precipice, right at the edge of a divorce, and
Wait
you
ahead.
you single-handedly brought it back and made it amazing.
Oh,
And
well,
who
thank
does that,
you.
right?
Thank you.
Congratulations. It is just the biggest accomplishment I can imagine, like the most important accomplishment. And
Oh,
I just want to celebrate with you and thank you so much for sharing the intimate details of the story and being so accountable and so authentic and saying, yeah, I drank too
mhm.
much, right? Because as mere mortal women, everybody's been there and done those things that maybe you don't
Oh,
want to admit that
no, or
damaged your marriage, right? It's not easy to admit that,
never.
but it sure is inspiring and invigorating,
Oh,
and gives hope where maybe there wasn't any. And so I couldn't be more grateful.
oh, thank you so much. And I tell you what, if it helps anybody out there to know that all you have to do is pick up a book, join, get online, look for what you need, become a ridiculously happy wife, get a good coach, find your tribe, find your people, find your women. And if you can't find them, look for them within this program, because there's so many people out there that I think of. I just moved to this neighborhood or this
Mhm.
area an hour away from my old girlfriends. Luckily, we all have phones and FaceTime and things like that, but people get busy, and there's very often that you end up feeling alone. And then what happens? You isolate more and more. Now, do you really want to get together with people that are having a happy marriage because yours isn't?
Oof.
Look for it. Look for your group within this program, because it helps immeasurably so much better. Thank you, Laura.
Oh,
And thank
ah,
you, Coach Lynn. Where I know you're out there. I appreciate you so
she
much.
is wonderful.
Yes, she
Oh,
is.
thank you so much,
Yeah. Oh,
Heidi. This has been
thank you.
great. Oh, great job today.
Thank you so much, Laura. I appreciate you. Good luck, women. You can do it. Stay strong.
According to a study at Harvard, and this was horrifying to hear, if you know a couple who's getting divorced, you are 75% more likely to get divorced too. Woo! It matters who you listen to, which is why over 7,000 women like you who think that having a great marriage is important have joined our free Adored Wife group. The Adored Wife group is a launch pad where you can meet our certified coaches and discover the best next steps for making your marriage last and thrive. It's 100% free to join. Just go to lauradoyle.org/group right now. This is a private group and it's not for everybody, but if you are a wife or girlfriend who thinks that having a great marriage is important too, we'd all really like to meet you. So go to lauradoyle.org/group right now to join us free. That's lauradoyle.org/group. Listen and subscribe to the Empowered Wife podcast. On next week's podcast, I'm going to talk about 3 ways to connect with your feelings, which can lead you to your desires, which can help you honor your desires and make your life so much richer. In the meantime, I hope you're having lots of fun. Today's fun fact is that the Empowered Wife podcast has been downloaded over 4.5 million times. So you know what that means? That means that you have been sharing it with your friends, with your family members, with other women who need hope in their relationship. And I am so grateful for that. It moves me so much that we not only get to have this time together to talk about how to make our marriages shiny and amazing, but you are also on the mission to end world divorce with me by sharing this podcast with other women that you know. So I'm eternally grateful. Thank you so much. I feel the love. I love you too.